Hello, it's Janet at Unique Raw Foods. I'm here live so that I can continue telling you about, like you can see written below, my raw vegan path, for lack of a better word or way of putting it. So, how are you today? It's beautiful, hot, and sunny here in Mexico, just the right amount. And I've had a lovely um, day of food with celery juice. I had a liver rescue smoothie, which is the pitaya one that I've talked about, and banana and a little bit of wild blueberry. Mine had cilantro, and I made these beautiful lettuce wraps in nori that take the nori roll and chop it into three. And they're little tiny nori burritos. Actually, they're chock full of lettuce and then dipped into a spicy mango dip. They're so good that I'm sitting here talking to you like we had them together. I wish you had. So anyway, I spoke about, I recall, where my path took me into health counseling and becoming a health practitioner, holistic health practitioner. And that's very key to me because very early on, I think prior to having children, I realized that medical community was not serving me at all. It was just a really vague place, and I know that I didn't really feel connected. I didn't have any of those words at that point to discuss it, so I just can recall it and know that that's what it's been like. So this holistic, as soon as I learned about holistic health, it made so much sense. And briefly, holistic health is taking into account mind, body, and spirit um, health, which is our part of our entirety, not just our physical thing. Now, some of us might think of physical things as holistic, but in medicine, they really get broken down to just like car components. That's why I think maybe our bodies compared to a car sometimes, because that's how a lot of people see it. So the holistic health counseling really helped dive deeper into whole life. Like, what are you happy in relationships? Are you happy in the work you're doing? You can still do this. It's not like it's outdated. We see a lot of things change, and you can continue to do things that connected to nature, holistic living, and finding your motivation, your own inspiration, not inspiration from the outside. So, with the holistic health counseling, I really felt like I had hit, just they use glow up now. But at that time, it really just hit my intuition. I started working on intuition. I worked with an intuitive for many years. I learned about homeopathy and cell salts and energy reading. Meditation is where I picked up the meditation. I think I mentioned last time. And introduced to and suggested to about the David Wolf and the Sun Food Diet Success System book, which was very good and very interesting, I found. Um, and from there, then it was, of course, eliminating things. Of course, I had already done an elimination diet, and that's how I had found the um, course and set me on my path. So I didn't dive into that seraphim. I didn't, no, 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 that's Silver. Sorry. My cat. My cat's name's Silver. I didn't dive into um, any kind of heavy cleanse. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going on a big juice fast or anything. I was aware of using lemon water. This again is at least 15 years ago, if not before that, using lemon water as a fast. I did a yearly 3-day, well, it's not really a fast if you're eating anything, but cleanse, food fast, winter solstices for 3 days. And I don't think I did much else. I may have dabbled in some of the herbs that one gets from like health food store back then for like liver cleanse or kidney cleanse. I never might have tried the olive oil flush once, maybe. Maybe the salt water, but maybe not. I don't remember. Enemas, did it, tried it, said no. I even did a colonic, which I think supervised may be helpful for some stuff. I just did it. I was all like many people I've learned, diving into all sorts of stuff. So some of I wanted to mention in this episode that some of the challenges that might have been there were perhaps not challenges at the time. Some of the challenges, of course, people say, oh, the raw food diet, vegan diet is very expensive. Well, it did become a little expensive because I did believe I needed the goji berries, I needed the maca and the cacao products. And I was still drinking coffee. Um, so, right there at that time, I didn't consider those challenges because I didn't have a big goal. Well, maybe the big goal was to eventually get to just raw foods, but it was more natural. There wasn't so much outside. I think then my next book came along with Renee. Her name is Renee, and she's German, and it was Raw Living, and it's essentially a cookbook with the ingredients and stuff in there. And so we really leaned into that a lot. Smoothies, spirulina, but I also did use chlorella. So, and I also used the apple cider vinegar. So right there, I've set up my challenges for where I am now. So that's number one. Digging into all of these, what from observing is a trendy products with promises but not results. Um, when I really wanted to be raw vegan, I think my challenge number two would be again, I'm here, but I didn't see it then, was a, um, I think a little more connection to my body and what I really wanted to eat or could eat. I think the challenge is that it wasn't open up to me that I might eat just watermelon for breakfast. I was already too programmed a little bit into following things or my own whims, which weren't too bad. Um, Probably some of the challenges would probably be number three of the challenge. So number one is all the products that came in. Number two is not knowing myself enough to engage in living foods in uh, a proper way, nutritionally balanced way. And what was number three? Oh, number three would be a true challenge then maybe that was like, I like chocolate cake. I like vegan baking. I like being in the kitchen and making things. Um, some of the things that set me up for success. So maybe we can go. I don't know if I can rename those again, but they're pretty good challenges. So, first thing I could give advice, which I hesitate to just give general advice, but it's pretty broad against across all spectrums that the challenges I came up against you could take into consideration or a friend of yours or whoever um, is interested and consider those things for yourself because it's easy to walk in those little rooms of stuff and problems and not realize you're in there. So it maybe can help enlighten you to what rooms you're sitting in that aren't serving you well. Um, and I bring those things up because I can evaluate for myself now. And at that time, I did work with a health counselor it was through my schooling. Through the school, we got to work with a health counselor ourselves. So, let's see if you can see these flowers. Look at them. I'll show. Oh, here. Ready? Live flowers. It's a vine that goes up. They have purple and then they turn white and they get this little red flower that comes out the end. So I'm positioned as a holistic health counselor and would offer that service to you and would like to find a way to be able to help you do these things because it really does help to have somebody to talk to about it. I think rather than this only, oh, I see that monkey see, monkey do. I'm going to do what those people are doing. And that's informative to a certain extent, but then you can come face to face with yourself. And when we work together, we look at, again, the holistic picture of life. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't, if you don't want to, I think people who don't want to engage with somebody like this, you may be sitting in some problems you really need to look at. And the health counseling has come so far in terms of development, and I've learned so much through independent study about psychology, physiology, psychology again, because you go to a therapist and it's going to go through some psychology, sociology approaches and things. So I want to assure you that I'm further educated, not in degrees so much, but definitely in experience and through ongoing. There's so many things zooming around, Zoom meetings to be part of, to learn from. So we would look at your current eating, of course, and then progressively be able to dig into some past things and, um, some of your blocks, what are going on. So that's a bit of a information personally, me providing to you about the health counseling services and the somewhat mentorship sort of position it is. It can be something about accountability, but it really is about making an hour once or twice a week. Say you're going to do it for 3 months, and it's not like it's not hard. It's relieving, and I've had clients have long-term success with it because we're getting below the little ripply surface here. We go in and take care of some of the root problems. And then you can move ahead from this space here of healing root problems rather than from this surfacey area of, floating around. And it's significant. It's not adrenal blowing out. It's not some sort of excitement. It's an internal, peaceful happiness. So if that's anything you've been looking for, it is definitely a tool to support you. We went through some of the challenges that I set out with, and I started to have to come to solutions through various means. Like, for instance, I didn't come from mono eating anything. I was home educating my children at the Waldorf outdoors. I wanted to be outdoors as much as possible. And I was keeping it as natural as possible. So I never really learned about mono eating or considered it. And I have found it as a tool now. Um, Juicing I'd heard of, but I think the juicing information out there wasn't thorough enough for me to really get into. Well, first of all, there's not so much correct information out there to begin with about the healing benefits of certain foods. Some of it's based on untruth. So it makes it hard to set goals and feel good. Um, my good solutions as I moved forward was definitely not eating meat. That was never a problem for me. I didn't feel like going back to eating meat. I didn't feel like with children we had to be eating meat. My kids didn't want fish. One was young enough, they were both young enough that I tried fish with both of them because I was still transitioning then, and they didn't like it, so I was like, "Great, so much easier." We were active, and it's so much fun to make raw foods together. We would make a lot of the great carrots and make carrot coconut date rolls. That was one of our first starts. There's such great things to be made with kids, with getting to know food and really appreciating it and things like that. So that was a great tool. That was a great tool, was the creativity with it. They loved making raw cakes, and they could use the juicer without getting hurt. I got the dehydrator. It was, like easy bake oven. We would make raw pizza. I was a little bit, we were higher in using buckwheat. We're a little bit higher in using nuts. Um, so, it wasn't what can I say? It wasn't not nutritious, that's for sure. We definitely were having kale, definitely having greens. Um, Honestly, I have a very part of my story happens to be having fabrications and what do you call it, extremities brought up with me about me in court. And one of the things they supposedly held against me was that my refrigerator was full of fruits and vegetables. Don't let that scare you off at all, but just make sure you have a lot of them around, which we did. We grew them. We lived up in the mountains. So that is a number two thing, was growing my own food. I think that was very supportive. Growing some kale, growing some, we were in snow practice, we were 8,000 feet, above 8,000 feet. And so growing own food and making friends with like a CSA or a delivery of farm goods, going to farmers markets. We did volunteering work on biodynamic and organic farms. I mean, that's a second strong pillar of the lifestyle, is the activity and the food growing. Going fruit picking, if you can do that. So those two are very strong um, foundations. As soon as you start knocking out things like the processed food, getting rid of like the vegan cheeses, we were around for just tofu pups and the spongy vegan cheese, which it was like junk food. It was like junk food. I get it. It was easy. It was expensive, and we hadn't shifted to making a nice big sauce, making a nice big salad, like really, really getting in there with the raw foods that way. We made nori rolls. So fast forward to now-ish, the challenges in between. Um, I think one thing that helped was I wasn't obsessed about it. It was a goal, and I could feel it in my body, but I don't think I didn't spend many days here. I'm like, oh, I didn't stick to my raw vegan diet today. It was definitely not part of the picture. Occasionally, I thought of quitting coffee. I would thin it out with chamomile tea and green tea, and I never considered it a problem. I still drink organic, non-sulfite wine. Those were threw in bigger challenges than what I think most people can identify. Coming to now, which I might throw in some more information about the whole thing another time. Now I have put myself in a place where I started to feel gain weight and get bloating, and like distension bloating, not just like, oh, I'm full and everything goes back down. And that started to add up very quickly. My activity level went down a bit. I did spend time in a raw vegan, fruitarian, grow fruit trees community, two of them. One was pretty good. The other one was pretending to be good and wasn't. Um, so again, lots of big shifts and changes, lots of ability to be able to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna have 5 mangoes," or, "Oh, I'm going to pick my own papaya and have papaya that tastes good and bananas that are, different variety." This was a great tool. But it's not a tool where you have to go give up your life entirely. Now that I know it, it could be guided differently. And now, so I started watching things about, I was on a lot of doctor, physician sponsored, what do they call these summits with mastering diabetes people, with raw food education, doctors, Dinas. Um, and I got a lot of information from there, and I started looking at my symptoms. And on one of the summits, medical medium spoke, mastering diabetes, and he was totally different. And I was very much drawn to him. As soon as I started finding out more and more information about him, I then started making changes based on his information and his healing information, spirit's healing information. It's raw vegan is absolutely there. Mono eating is absolutely there. Cleansing properly is absolutely there. And the proper information about the healing benefits of certain foods is there as well. So I had to make that switch. My biggest people, I don't think I was overeating fats. I definitely had fats, and I definitely went through that. Oh, where's your protein? Like a little protein robot every day. Oh, protein, protein, chia seeds. And I was blessed to have bunches of avocados in Ecuador, here in Mexico. So I had my avocado a day. Now those things weren't still working well with my body and what was going on. And where my bodies decided, like, okay, well, this is how old you are now, and this is what we're going to start doing. We're not going to keep doing what we did when we were 30. We need to start looking at things differently. So I've changed over, have a creative medical medium diet that I follow. I've been, as of this live, which is, we're going to end very soon. Um, as of this live, I was off fats 99.9% since last November, because it was last November to this day that I found the information and started cleansing and cut out my fats. And it is so possible. The pain that you feel and struggle and even imagination that, oh, I could never do that, is all ego programming and conditioning. Maybe 1% truth, but that's, there's a lot of things that fats get in the way of in our bodies that we deny and don't understand. So this understanding has helped me have more power over myself. I've probably lost, here was starting to get inflamed. This was fat. I'm still haven't lost all the weight that I feel I need to. Um, but it progressively has shown healing. Whereas if we go back to the beginning of the video where I spoke about trends and staying healthy, like big, oh, I'm going to stay healthy, but you don't really know what you're doing. This is like putting your feet on the ground and walking the path and going, oh, look, this is healthy. This is working, or this isn't working, sort of thing. So I've done banana and lettuce mono meals, banana, papaya, lettuce mono eating for days on end. Um, I've done liquid foods. I've done celery juice almost every single day for the last 11 months as well. I would end the video there saying that is one of the keys, getting to know your juices, to balance nutrition without going over with calories, and keeping nutrition consolidated for yourself. The teeth issue, apple cider vinegar, don't just toss it. Coffee, toss it. Caffeine, it later on, it sits in there and it does its work. So I am so happy if you get to watch this video. Thank you to my new subscribers. I hope you're all staying strong and beautiful and finding your answers and finding peace in your heart. See if you could check out some of the Qigong, totally underestimated thing in mainstream. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd love for you to visit the website, uniquerawfoods.com. I now have products up there slowly, and the goal is to have quality products for raw food, vegan, transitioning diets that is below retail prices. So, mail order right to your door, somebody different than Amazon, okay? Thank you. Bye bye.